Hello everyone, it's Deborah from Attic Lane and I'm going to show you how I made 10 cards from this one kit from Craftwork cards, and it's called Julie Loves All Wrapped Up. There's a lot in this kit and I'm going to flip through and show you all the goodies. You'll see it's Christmas themed, but I have made a card that is far more summery because you can see these papers are nice and light and could be used for other occasions other than Christmas. So you get this pad which has really beautiful design papers in it. Some of them are really beautiful. I particularly did like the Christmas tree one. You'll see that used quite often. You also get, these are called candies. They've been described as legless brads. This is a little secret surprise you get, so I'm not going to show that to you. This is a booklet that shows you all the different designs or some design ideas to get you started. And you also get, let me just count these for you, 3 sheets of 6 different designs of little pop-out toppers or die cuts. You can see there's absolutely loads of them, and they have sentiments and they have foliage and they have bows and birds and baubles and stars and snowflakes. There's a huge variety in there. I used a lot of these in my projects, as you'll see, and I didn't get anywhere near using all of these items. For my card blanks, I'm using A4 sheets cut down the centre. This is usually what I do because I've got quite a lot of A4 sheets and it's a very efficient way of using the card. And then I just score them down the centre and I use them as top folding cards. For card 1, I'm using that beautiful tree background paper to cover the whole of the front of the card. I'm trimming that piece of paper on the front of my card to size. And I'm going to use a die cut to cut out a rectangle right in the centre of the card. So that's it cut out, and I want to leave a big blank space around a big blank white border on the inside of the card because I want there to be a space for me to write a personal message to go with this card as well. So that's why I'm gluing the central piece back in. That way there's something nice on the inside of the card, but there's also space to write a little message. I'm using 2 of these die cut pieces, the bauble pieces, and I'm using a piece of florist wire to go right down the centre of both of them. I'm going to glue the 2 pieces back to back around that wire because I want the 2 baubles to be able to pivot. Now they're both glued onto the wire, and you can see they can turn within that external bauble as well, and I'm putting a piece of white card just on the inside of the card so that it covers up where the florist wire has been attached. And that's card 1, nearly ready to go, and it's got 2 candies added top and bottom of the bauble, as you can see, and it turns beautifully. For card 2, I'm using a lot of the star die cuts. There are 3 sizes, small, medium and large, and I'm layering up 3 of each size on top of each other because that then gives it lots of depth and dimension. And then once I have my 3 different sets, I'm going to place them on top of each other, and I'm going to slightly offset the points of the star so that it looks a little bit more Christmassy. And just to complete the star, I'm using clear Wink of Stella to give it a little bit of extra sparkle. It's difficult to show you that on camera, I hope you can see it a little bit there. And I'm using the tree paper again as a background, and I want to leave a white border around the inside of my card, so I'm just trimming it down. So a little bit of double-sided tape on the back of the star. I'm not using a foam tape here because I think this already has enough dimension. I don't want to stick too proud of the card. And then positioning it, and you can see I've also added one of the candies, one of the light, the sort of teal coloured candies in the centre of that, and again put a little bit of Wink of Stella on it. Now I'm going in with my glue pen and just putting in some dots, and I will add some clear glitter over the top just to give the card a little bit of extra sparkle. And again, it's quite difficult to catch it on camera, but maybe you can just see it a little. The sentiment that I'm using at the bottom of the card is one of the pop-outs from the die cuts, and it all matches beautifully. I'm moving this around just to be happy with the position of it, and once I am happy I will stick it down and then add some glossy accents just on the centre of the candy in the centre of the star, and once I've done that we're good to go. Card 3. This uses the really beautiful pink Snowflake paper. I'm using it as a background, and I also want to cut out some hill shapes, so I've used a die cut. I'm just cutting that in half now because I want to layer these hills. And that's how the hills will look. And I'm going to move on to the die cuts, and I'm using 3 of the baubles from the kit. When I saw these, I thought I could use them as trees. I'm using a Versacolor ink pad called Turquoise, it's number 20, to go around the outside of the trees to make them stand out a little bit more. And the stamp that I'm going to use is also from Craftwork cards. It doesn't come as part of the kit, but if you're a subscriber, you're emailed in advance to ask if you would like to include the stamps at a discounted rate. So I've stamped out Christmas wishes, and I just want to add a little bit more interest to those trees, so I'm going around the outside with a black marker pen. The first 2 trees have been glued directly onto the card background, and the third tree I've stuck to the back of one of the hills, and I've added foam pads to it because I want the effect to be slightly 3D. I want that tree to look as if it's coming towards you. And once I'm happy with that, inevitably it's that wink of Stella pen coming out again to add a little bit of glitz to the finished card. Not content with that, I'm also adding some stickles. Again, it's difficult to show you on camera. I don't know if you can see a little bit of glitz going on there. On to card 4. This is just a tub that I had on my desk, and I'm drawing a pencil line around it because I want a circle to act as a basis of a wreath. I'm going over that pencil line with a smudged red ink. This is so that if I stamp onto there and I leave gaps, it won't show through as white card, it will be red. And again, I'm using the stamps that I bought additionally to the kit. I'm going to use a lot of these little elements from another stamp set that matches this kit. It's full of foliage and parcels and leaping reindeer and all sorts of Christmas images, and they will be great for using on envelopes as well. I'm also going to use candies with some foam backing on them just to add that 3D effect that I like to use. You can see it building. And now that I'm happy with the wreath, I'm going to add a sentiment below. This is one of the die cut sentiments. The colours match beautifully with the ink on the card as well, and I'm going to add a small border to the card using my black marker pen. These are red Nouveau Crystal drops, and they're perfect for adding a little bit of extra zhuzh to the card, and of course the inevitable glossy accents going onto the top of the candies there, and also on that little dove at the bottom of the card. For card 5, I cut 3 frames, each slightly smaller than the one before, and I layered them up. Once they're secured in place, I'm going to pop out 4 of the snowflakes. These are beautiful. I thought these were absolutely gorgeous, and they're so pretty they don't need you to do anything else to them other than just use them. I did curl them around a little bit to give them some extra dimension, and once they were all curled up, I layered them up and just glued them in place. Little squeeze, just help keep them in shape a little bit, and then position them on the card. I'm using candies again. I'm going to add the sentiment, and then I'm going to add a candy in the centre. The sentiment again is one of the die cuts with the kit. See what I mean about having absolutely loads of stuff in that kit to use? And I'm going for a red candy, sticking that in place, and again the wink of Stella pen. Card 6 uses more of the die cuts. I really like this pink stripy paper, and I wanted to get it in somewhere in the form of a tag. So I'm just going to layer this onto the pink paper, and I'm going to cut around it with my scissors, and I'm going to give it a fishtail. And I'm popping out some of the snowflakes ready to be used once I've put my frame in place. So I'm just gluing the frame that I've previously cut from another sheet of paper, and I'm going to position it and glue it in place. So the tag I'm going to glue flat onto the card because I'm going to create dimension with the snowflakes and also with another little tag. You can see just on the top right corner that pink tag that says joy. I found some pink raffia that matched this beautifully, so that was ideal, and I'm going to add some foam to the back of that tiny little pink tag, and it stands slightly proud of the rest of the card. And now there are some candies being placed on the snowflakes. For card 7 I'm going to use 3 of the baubles from the die cut sheets, and I'm going to create a bauble that has got a traditional look, and to do that I'm going to add gold glitter embossing powder just on that little top segment where the bauble would be joined to a wire or a loop to hang it on a tree. I'm using a Versamark ink pad, and I've just dipped the top of those baubles into it so that there's enough there just to pick up that gold embossing powder. Now I'm heat setting them, ready for use on my project. Let me just show you that shimmer. I think that's really effective. So now I'm preparing my background paper, and I want to have a little bit of a white border showing, so I'm just measuring that and cutting that to size. I'm using my Versamark pad again because I'm going to run it around the outside of that piece of paper, and once I've done that I'm going to sprinkle it with the gold embossing powder again. Once that's heat set and dried, it will give a really beautiful border to the whole card, and it will join everything together. So now I'm happy with that, and I'm going to stick the background paper onto my card. I'm using the stamp set again to choose a sentiment. I'm going to select 4 words, so my sentiment will be sending you Christmas wishes. I've just stamped them in black ink, and I'm going to cut out each individual word. And once they're cut, I'm going to go around the edge just with my black marker pen. This will make each word stand out. I'm going to do the same with my baubles, so I'm just going to go around each one again with my black marker pen just to make them stand out a little bit. I raided my ribbon stash and I found a perfect gold ribbon that is ideal for this project, and I've cut the lengths to the right size. I've added foam pads to the back of each of the baubles, and I'm gluing them all in place, the ribbon and the bauble as well. Because the baubles are on foam pads, it just makes them stick out and gives everything a bit more dimension. And once I'm happy with the position of my words, I'm gluing down my sentiment. And my card is finished. On to card 8. And in this card, I'm using the waste from the hills that I die cut out earlier on. I've also put a piece of acetate behind the hills. I'm using some of the die cut elements to create a nice little corner, using the ferns and using some of the blue and the pink flowers. And now from the Christmas tree sheet I'm cutting out individual Christmas trees. They're going to form the background to my card. I'm adding a pencil mark behind the hill line on the base card because that will give me a marker when I'm positioning my trees. I want my trees to look like a little forest, so they're going to be clustered. I'm going to check that against my frame and just make sure that I'm happy with where everything is and that I've cut enough trees. And now I'm going to use my Versacolor ink pad again, the turquoise one that matches these trees so beautifully. I'm just going to take it over the edges just to give the trees a little bit more dimension. Now what I've done is stuck the trees to the hills so that they stand slightly proud of that base card. And now I'm choosing a sentiment from my stamp kit to stamp onto the base card underneath the acetate. So I'm using my stamp platform just to make sure I position the sentiment absolutely right. And I'm just using black ink. I've got my glue pen again, and I'm going to go over the acetate with some tiny little dots, and I'm just going to put some glue, some glitter onto the glue to make it look as if it's snowing over my forest. I hope you can see this because it's a magical effect. I've added some foam pad to the back of that frame with the acetate on it, and I'm gluing that in place. I'm using Nouveau glitter accents, it's called Fresh Snowfall, and I'm using that just to add a little bit of extra glitz and glitter to that top right corner. And I'm also adding some extra foliage to the bottom left of the frame to balance up what's in the top. Card 9 is going to be a summer card. I'm going to take all of the elements in the die cut sheets that I think look summery or flowery or butterfly-y, and I'm going to use them on this card. And that is Versacolor Seafoam, that ink pad that you can see me using. My sentiment isn't a Christmas sentiment, it says just for you. And I'm using the ink pad in a similar way to the way that I used the ink pad on the wreath. And I'm going to just sketch out an area using that block colour of where I want my elements to be positioned. And it just gives me a marker so that I know where everything will go, the sort of space that I want to cover, and it also means once again that if I don't fill every single little inch of the card, there won't be white showing through, there will be still colour showing through. So here we go, and I'm just layering it all up and I'm just positioning everything, I'm deciding where I want it, and that's how the card is going to look. So now I will glue it all down, and I have also used some Nouveau crystal drops in red and in pink on the centre of some of those little flowers. I'm also adding in some candies just to expand the bouquet effect out and away into the rest of the card. I only ended up using 2 of the butterflies. I layered up 2 butterflies, one on top of each other, and positioned them as if they're flying away from the bouquet. And now I've got some more Nouveau drops, and these are just in a very, very light pink, just sprinkled throughout the card, and the card is finished. For card 10, I've cut a circle from one of the sheets of paper from the kit, and I've also cut a circle in a piece of white card. That white card is the same size as the front of my card bases, and I'm going to glue the pattern sheet on top of the base sheet. This is a piece of acetate that's going in here, so I think you'll know I'm making a shaker card now. And that's glued in place. So now I'm going to go around the circle with foam pads. This is 2mm thick foam. And once I've gone around the circle, I'm going to go around the outside of the card as well. The reason for going around twice and for going around that circle is because it contains your little shaker elements. And now I'm putting the sequins in the middle of the card, and I'm going to take off the foam backing, and I'm going to stick that on top of the sequins, and they're all contained within that circle. I really like these baubles, and I'm using them again on this card. I'm just going to glue it into the middle. And this is one of the sentiments, one of the die cut sentiments. So I'm going to glue that in place just beneath the circular aperture. Shaky shake. Do love a shaker card. So there are all the 10 cards that were made using the Julie Loves All Wrapped Up kit. I hope you found something in there that you liked and that you might like to try yourself. And if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and then I know that this is the sort of thing that you would like to see again. Now I'm going to put on some music, and I'm going to leave you with some close-up photographs of each of the cards. Thank you for watching.